Hi.
Howdy.
How you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good.
Well, you want to
You
introduce
excited?
yourself to the fine people listening?
Yes. My name is Benjamin Gilbert Liff, and I am the Deputy Executive Director for Progressive Victory. And joining us in a minute is going to be Ganga, our Organizing Director. Oh, and here she is.
Hello, sorry.
Howdy.
Howdy, how are you doing today, Vosh?
I have a headache, but apart from that, I've been worse. Mamdani won, so I can be happy about that. Sort of a residual contentedness that I'm feeling. Even though, to be honest with you, now that I've gotten the hit, I want to keep hitting. I want Mamdani to win every day, which I don't think is feasible. It must be what it feels like to be a Trump supporter, though, you know? It kind of feels like they're always winning in a campaign.
Yeah, that's actually like the best way that I can put it. I every single day I've been having to remind myself that like, oh my gosh, Mamdani won. This is awesome. And I've been feeling that same euphoria over and over again.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit more optimistic because I do think the euphoria can continue. That's actually one of the things that we're here to talk about and that we've been working on. We have this fun little initiative called Operation DNC, and we've actually been trying to put together a program to teach ordinary volunteers to become the lowest level members of the Democratic Party, precinct chairs. And these are not like slouch positions. Well, kind of. It's 3 hours a month. It's actually pathetic how little work they expect you to do. But they're actually pretty good positions. Like, you get voting rights on the party, you can work your way up, but most importantly, you're in charge of the get out the vote movement for your precinct, which is usually somewhere between 800 to 2,000 people. And in doing so, you actually can help. You actually meet a lot of really old people who are there, who are really excited to actually see a young person, no matter what political affiliation they have. As long as you're blue, they don't care. And you actually can build up a lot of social influence and power. And our goal is that hopefully in 4 years, if we can make it through the next presidential election, we'll have a layer of members who can actually help influence what decisions the party can make.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me. I mean, especially considering the fact that, well, for one, we're on a bit of a pause right now, at least until the upcoming election. And for two, you know, if you want to build change in the long term, you need to, like, without a doubt, Mamdani's victory 2 nights ago was predicated on successes that have been built in previous years, giving him inroads. You know, if you have nobody in the city or the state of New York, who is amenable to what he's offering, who's willing to work with him to help build his campaign, to give him the inroads, the connections, the endorsements necessary, he likely would not have won 2 nights ago. So you kind of need to get in on the ground floor. I see a lot of people who, you know, they want to make a change, they want to make a difference, and they run like for Congress or something, which, you know, is admirable, but I think in a lot of cases, it's much more important to get in at the bureaucratic work, especially because a lot of the people who do this don't have the social skills to be a politician.
Yeah, I was definitely guilty of that. I kind of just had this like plucky attitude where I was just like, you know what? When I'm 26, I'm going to run for Congress. I'll pull an AOC, I'll lose, and you know what? I'll just do it again. And then I'll lose a second time, and I'll do it a third time. And if the third time doesn't work out, well, I'll just sell out or something. But I'll probably win by then. Who cares? And like, that's not how it actually works. You actually have to have like some knowledge and some groundwork that you've established. And I kind of got really lucky with PV, where I kind of just went in there and I kind of just met some amazing people who really taught me how some of this shit actually like fucking works. And it almost immediately puts things in perspective, like, oh, I'm actually stupid. Okay, that's good to know. We can move forward from here.
I have this
Yeah.
realization every day when I look in the mirror after getting out of the shower. Can you tell me a little bit about what exactly this position you're describing entails? The lowest member of the local democratic bureaucracy?
Yeah, Gunga, do you want to take that one or should I?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty simple position. It really just is you go to the precinct office and you basically meet up with the people there. There's officially there's supposed to be a sort of election, but really they're so starved for positions because ever since like the end of the Obama campaign, it has just been a brain drain. So if you just show up to the office and participate for a decent amount of time, they basically just ask you every single time to just take the position. It's actually rather pathetic. But once you're there, your main focus is actually just coordinating community building. You are trying to do efforts to actually get people in your precinct to go vote on important days. So any initiative you can think of to do that, you basically have somewhat, not complete carte blanche, but you have a small like gaggle of people you need to convince, but they're all pretty amenable generally. You can do things like mutual aid. You can do things like just community nights in like a comic book store for the young people, or you can go to like nursing homes and do like story hour. There's so many, like it's almost like whatever you can think of, you can try and do if there is any sort of community outreach that it can actually garner. And it's 2 to 3 hours a month is the requirement. It's nothing. Like we ask our state leads at PV to do 2 to 3 hours a week. It's crazy.
That seems like a pretty easy inroad. You said there's a brain drain. There's just not many people who are gunning for these positions right now. I guess nobody has any faith in the DNC, so nobody's really excited to, you know, get in at the ground floor.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So there are literally like there are no people who want to get involved at like the lowest ring of the party, because, you know, there's so many people who feel disenfranchised. They feel like, you know, in order to make like a real difference, that you have to either run for Congress, you have to be like at the top of the party. And in a sense, that's kind of true. Like, you know, you do have to have power within the party to make like a real difference. But how do you build that power? Well, everybody has to start somewhere, right? You can't just immediately jump to like the top ring. And not only that, but if we have enough people who have real progressive values, who are truly in politics, not for the money, not for the power, but in it for the love of the people that they're representing, you have enough people who are actually wanting to get involved, we can make the Democratic Party genuinely representative of its voters. Oh, blue MAGA.
I mean, I think, especially with regard to the national DNC, I think a lot of people were shocked, you know, that like Jake Tapper book, how much influence people like Jill Biden's staffers, for example, how much influence they had over shielding Biden from the people who wanted to talk to him to try to sort of preserve the image of his mental cohesion. And I think what a lot of people got from that, including me, was like staffers have a shocking amount of power. Politicians are usually so busy. They have these appearances they have to do. They have obligations. They have to meet with people. Their actual thinking is usually you know, sort of like handed over to other people. They have their outfits chosen. They have their day planner managed. There's a lot of little bureaucratic fiddliness that, you know, somebody like a president certainly doesn't want to be dealing with. But also, I think people on a local level, you know, it's like how secretaries often have an enormous amount of power over the operation of a business, even a very large one, because they control the flow of information into the, you know, the CEO's office. So onboarding people in that direction sounds like a pretty good idea to me.
Yeah, it's really important. And it's not just important for the party, which is fairly hollowed out and has been running sort of, you know, it's not, it's a joke, but it's also not a joke that like these 80-year-olds really just did not hand off power to like the people beneath them. But that didn't just happen in Congress. That happened throughout the entire party, the actual LLC that comprises the Democratic Party. That was also the case. It's just sad. And there's also just no systems in place to teach people how to join it. Like when back during January, when I went to go to the Florida DNC conference to stump for Ben Wickler, there was just no there was just there was no way to know how to go. There was no knowledge on where it was. There was no knowledge on who was allowed to be there. You just had to know somebody. And luckily there was somebody in PV who we did know, a member, Nathan, shout out. But without that, there would have just been nothing. And every state is like that. That's actually like one of the things I was hoping to like call out here, is that if there's anybody who like who's watching this, who knows something about their party or is a member of it or has family that's part of it, come let us know, because you literally cannot know. It's a fuck off tour, basically. If you don't know, you don't know, and we don't want you to.
It does. It does seem like basically every Republican representative at the national level has been paired with some 17-year-old Groyper staffers and social media campaign managers, you know, who handle like it's obvious that young people are having a massive influence over the party. Obviously, the people in the cabinet are, you know, varying degrees of geriatric, but there's clearly a heavy influence from like young, very online alt-right culture that they have successfully weaponized. I mean, they've used that to be much more effective. Look at the White House Twitter account, you know, the AI Ghibli, Donald Trump, you know, signing executive orders to vibe and relax to, that sort of thing. There's definitely like a lot more onboarding there. And you can tell when you see, for example, Chuck Schumer's announcements. Like, you see Chuck Schumer, right? And he wants to talk about how we need to be better to Israel, or we need to bomb Iran, or whatever. And there is no pageantry at all to the messaging that he puts out. It's very clear that it wasn't put out by anyone who knows how modern social media works. It's boring, it's unconvincing, there's barely any effort put into it. It's not like Schumer's the one directing or even writing any of this, you know, he's just being given orders, or a directive at least, and it doesn't work. So I think that, like you said, there's a brain drain. I think that there's a kind of ideological and rhetorical gap in the party right now that is easy to fill. And in the absence of any young people who are getting onboarded by the Democrats directly, I think it'd be a good idea to take advantage of that ourselves. Because once the Democrats wake up and figure out they do in fact need young people getting onboarded to local and national positions in order to stay relevant, to stay effective, they are not going to pick based in red-pilled young people. They are going to pick grinning, broccoli-haired, you know, vote blue no matter who, Joe Biden dead-ender psychopaths who made it big on TikTok when they were 14 years old, like epically debating lefties on their, you know, lack of economic education. You know, you need to get in there before that motherfucker does.
Yeah, and again, this is why it's so important that, you know, these everyday types, like I want to say real people, like people who actually like real people, you know, not just people who are endlessly going along with the DNC or the Democratic Party, people who genuinely care. It is so important that, you know, we're doing the work, that we're getting involved in any way that is possible to get involved in. And, you know, getting involved in the DNC is not the only way to help out with the movement. Progressive Victory, here at Progressive Victory, we are also looking for a lot of new volunteers. We have a bunch of positions that we need filled. We need new state leads. We need people to help out with our media and design. We need people who want to be leaders. And I'm not just saying like leaders for a movement. I'm saying leaders of people who want to come together and help build an org, help not just like follow along and lead the movement after it's been made, but help build the actual movement itself. There are so many people who are so interested in following what's already there. But if we just continue this idea of just following what's already been built out for us, we're not going to be able to actually make any meaningful, long-lasting, sustaining change. We need to make sure that we're building something ourselves. So if any of you are listening to this and are, you know, alarm bells are going off in your head going, well, I think I could be a leader. I think I could help build this. Again, we're looking for people like you.
Yeah, and honestly, even if you don't think you're going to be a good leader, join anyway. We still need help, genuinely. Yeah. Like what we need is we really need to make bureaucracy sexy again, because it's not the politicians who make decisions, it's the staffers that influence them. This is in both parties, and it's not just like the leaders of orgs that influence things. It's also the people who comprise them.
It's
like,
always it's just weird to me how, like, I feel like the average grinning neo-Nazi on 4chan would love the opportunity to put on a suit and go talk to Republicans about how, yeah, totally, all the kids are talking about the Great Replacement, you know? Yeah, no, it's going to be a big hit on social media. Like, they would love that. But it seems like a lot of young lefties view the idea of working within the DNC in any kind of like complementary role, even if it's one where you get to like influence things and make decisions and move the party in a better direction. They think of it like they resent the idea, you know? I don't really understand it. I mean, obviously any path to power in this country, literally any path, is going to involve entering organizations that aren't favorable to us and then making them more favorable to us. You know, you can't build everything out whole cloth. You're not going to build like a second parallel America inside of the existing one until suddenly you're able to win the popular vote as the president or whatever. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, I don't know. Just I know there's a lot of people who watch this or they hear this and they're like, well, I've got a very, you know, busy schedule gooning, and also Death Stranding 2's come out, and I just don't know if I can fit this in. You're gonna die. We're all going to die eventually, but like maybe more quickly than we'd like in some cases, okay? You need to put some fucking effort in.
Yeah.
It is a good game, though.
It is a good game. I've played it. It's on iPad. One of the few games that is.
Death Stranding 2?
Are you playing Death Stranding on an iPad, Benjamin?
You shut the f up. No comment. One of the things I would say, though, is that I've just noticed that there's a real contempt for power on the left. And not just like, and it's not really even just contempt. It's actually almost like a trauma response to it. That when people have to deal with actually engaging with systems that are like really overwhelming to them and they feel could have like a negative outcome on certain individuals, they just almost shut down and don't know how to engage with it. The stakes kind of just break apart. And you know, you see that not just in like the Democratic Party, but I think you just see that inside these kinds of orgs as well.
Somebody in chat says, I'd love to do this, but I'm moving to Humboldt for college soon. Nice. Is this a position that can be filled even in smaller towns? I can say on behalf of the two that I'm speaking to that yes, especially even in smaller communities, 100%. I mean, obviously, results may vary depending on where you are exactly, but yeah, no, this is not like a LA, NYC, Chicago thing only, you know?
Yeah, you know, I first got involved with Progressive Victory as the New Jersey state lead far back in the year 2023. If any of you can remember that, if any of you were around for that era, and I lived in some small town in New Jersey. It's known for providing lumber during colonial ages, but apart from that, the town hasn't developed at all. And since then, you know, I led an entire state to not just in like South Jersey, not just in North Jersey, but we're operating in big cities, Newark, Jersey City, Trenton. You know, we are organizing around the colleges, like Glassboro area. For anybody who lives in Jersey who knows what I'm talking about, like we're all over the state, right? You don't necessarily need to be positioned in the most populated part of your state. But that also brings us to what our like huge next point is with Mamdani, right? Something that is super important
Mamdani.
Is, you know, yeah, we want to get involved in or we want to push all of these progressive candidates, right? We want to stack Congress. We want to stack the party itself. Well, something that we're kind of forgetting about is there are mayoral elections going on all over the country every single year. These elections are huge. If we are getting progressive mayors in office, we have more cities adopting agendas that actually benefit the people, you know, recreational cannabis, protecting transgender and other LGBTQ rights.
Sanctuary city status.
Sanctuary city status. Like, these things can't happen without us putting in mayors that actually agree with the things that we hold near and dear to us. You know, Seattle, I think, is having an election this year. The last time I checked, you guys are having a mayoral election. Buffalo, New York is,
Miami.
I think Miami, I think Chicago, but I could be wrong. But there are all these cities. These are huge cities. These are big, big cities. There's many people who live here. And the fact that we are only looking at, okay, well, let's only look at House members. Let's only look at Senate seats. Let's only look at, you know, the presidential election. You know, democracy exists from the bottom up. And there are positions that we are failing to recognize. So one of our next big pushes here at PV is we're going to try and get people who maybe they can't influence elections in these huge cities. Well, maybe they can't go too far out of state. Well, what's near you? What does everybody have? Everybody answers to a mayor of some sort. So we're really going to push and really, really try and get all of our volunteers to engage with local politics in a much stronger light, so much so that they are getting new mayors elected.
Yeah, I think especially with Mamdani's victory and pending like real victory, you know, he's going to provide a kind of umbrella for other progressive mayoral candidates, because he had the hardest job, at least in terms of fighting against sort of like institutional pushback, you know, with the amount of money that runs in New York City. That's a tough one. Socialist running in New York City and winning the mayorship, that's not an easy one. And there are certainly less progressive cities out there, but I feel like he's proven the uphill battle can be won. You know, it's a hill that can be climbed. Anyone who tries to model their mayor campaign similar to how he's done his, I think is going to enjoy a lot of not blanket protection, what would the term be? Just like adjacent legitimacy, you know? It's going to be seen as part of a movement, not as like a single aberrant person taking charge. And of course, all this becomes much, much easier if local leadership is more inclined towards the progressives.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, like, this is something we've been talking about with some of our members. I'm just kind of curious to see what happens when we take national resources and throw it behind a mayoral race. Not even just like a big race like Seattle, Chicago, Miami, but like, let's just take a town in Iowa that's like not even really progressive, is just kind of a town, and let's see what we can do. Let's see what impact we can have when we have our volunteers try and make the township that a good chunk of our members live in. Like, let's just see what happens. What can we do? Like, that's almost how you start. You know, you don't start from the top down.
Unless you're Mamdani.
True.
Well, we can't all be Mamdani.
We can't all be Mamdani. If there are any Mamdanis watching, though, you know, we encourage you to live your truth and you know, go out there and accomplish as much as you can. But let's all be realistic about our looks, energy levels, and charisma. Not likely, I think. So I heard word, you know, I remember reading, bleary and tired as I am, a little bit before having you both on. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk with us about?
Yeah, there's two specific things.
One
is just one thing being that, like, hey, we were able to get 23,000 phone bank calls from Mamdani in 7 days.
Nice.
I think that's pretty cool. I think we could do more, and I'd like to see us try. We also were able to have Baraka actually come into the server and do an AMA before the Mamdani race really took off. So that was pretty exciting as well. Yeah. Ooh, we were so close to getting Mamdani. The schedule just didn't work out. He would have had to come on at like 11 p.m. at night. It just didn't work. We were so close.
Yeah, that's he in his defense, he has been extremely busy. So I can't fault him for not finding the time. Damn, that would have been cool though. Maybe in the lead up to the general, of course. Like, I think he's cinched in the general, but obviously we still want like a bombastic entry into his mayorship.
Oh yeah, he's still committed. One of the really cool things he did was he would just show up to the phone bank calls. He would just show up to the canvas events, even 5 minutes, just to give everybody some energy, just to give people the impression that he actually gives a shit, because from everything I can tell, he really does. And he's very committed, from everything that I can tell, to just actually being supportive of not just the movement, but of the individual people who helped rally behind him.
Yeah, he's
And
actually
I think
like
that's really cool.
fucking. It's actually insane how good
A
he is.
human.
It's insane how human he is. It's insane how competent he is. I don't know. Eventually, I have to assume that you do this by repressing some kind of internal psychosis, and he like screams into a pillow at the end of every night. I have no idea how he manages this level of like genuine human competency, seemingly 24/7. But yeah, it doesn't. You don't always need a Mamdani. Like Mamdani can be the guy you look up to. He's the guy whose portrait you hang on your wall. But there are, I don't know, man. The Democratic Party is such a void right now. I feel like there are so many opportunities for people to step up that need to be taken advantage of. And I really, really hope we go in that direction and not like in a, I don't know, like a Slotkin kind of direction or whatever. Like we need to cement the influence of progressives in the party, which is why, I mean, I know you're called Progressive Victory, right? So obviously I was going to support the intentions. Allegedly. Support the intentions either way. But this has always been something that's concerned me, which is it just seems like the Republicans make it so easy to onboard influence and power because they will shift their positions and they will shift their rhetoric to anything that works for them in the moment. And the Democrats are so old and stagnant, and even the young people they bring on board are spiritually old, stiff, teeth clenched, like not an original idea in their heads, totally captured. And I think that's made them, in addition to, you know, being very bad, like ineffective against the Republicans, I think it'll make them ineffective against us too. So yeah, we got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they have something very they have a few things like money, but they have something very important, an actual pipeline. And that's just something that has not existed very much on the left. It's one of the things we're trying to build. Like one of the things that makes PV special is that it really, in addition to it being a political org, it operates at like one of its dual pillars of organizing is community. It operates as like a digital third place, but not just a digital third place, because that can get pretty bad pretty quickly, but one that has like actual roots and structures to be able to take that online community of people in your state and funnel you into IRL community. Jeez fucking Christ, I just said IRL. Okay, maybe not quickly enough. But yeah.
I say IRL.
Yeah, on the money front, though,
I say POG.
We do need help.
I say poggers. Oh yeah, on the money front, online slogan or terminology aside, vernacular. No, please, let us know.
Yeah, so we've actually been doing our dues paying membership program. We've been starting it up. I actually am the one who has the giant like $10,000 card printer in my house to actually make these things. It's not cool on stream, but you can see it. Mm-hmm. These are the test cards.
Ooh.
Hold on, I haven't had the camera on. I haven't even had
just showing
Discord
you.
open. Okay, I'm looking, and chat, I gotta say, they look beautiful. They actually do look really good. Here, wait, hold on, 1 second. Okay,
yep.
I didn't have
pull
any of
this out at the club.
Out.
Pull this out at the club, and it's like a done deal.
It's a lock. You're in, like physically, spiritually. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah,
that looks good. First name, last name.
Yeah.
I want that
and
shit.
That's my real name.
It's glittery. It's, you know, like a strip club or maybe something more professional, but still.
I want that shit. I have to give you money?
Yeah, you anywhere from as little as $5 a month to our dues paying membership program, and up to $100 a month if you want to be an inner circle member. We have that prestigious branding. You actually get a fun little merch bundle as well with each of the different tiers. There's a bunch of different benefits. You can check them out at this link I just dropped in chat for people who should become dues paying members.
You can give us $1 million.
That's true. That would help. I tried that method and it led to a Wisconsin event. So I think that's a good strategy.
They would probably make you a custom card for that one.
I would make a custom card for somebody who did that.
$1,000,001. That's where the custom card comes from. $1,000,001.
It would be really embarrassing for me to say now for the third time on stream that I keep meaning to get this. as soon as the stream ends, and then I don't. But this is the time for real. So the fourth time you come on and mention the cards, I'll be like, here, you mean this? And then I'll show it. But I can't actually show the card because it'll show my first name, which I've kept hidden to prevent doxing this entire time I've been a public figure.
Yeah, strategically, quite impressively. If also, one of the cool things I do actually want to share, like what the money's being used on. Like right now, we're getting about $6,000 a month from our dues paying members. We have about 250 that actually are in the server, and about another 60 that are just dues paying members from the ether, apparently. And one of the things we use those funds on is actually our organizing tools, and hopefully one day actually being able to have a full-time paid staff. Not that I'd take the paycheck. I know I don't need it, but like actually being able to have somebody work 40 hours a week to be able to manage the org and to be able to help manage groups of different volunteers, that'd be a bit of a game changer. So please, if you want a membership card, or if you don't, there's also our Pride merch. You know, there's 3 days left to get it. But please, contributing to the org not only makes a meaningful difference to the capacity of what we're able to do, but it also makes you a better socialist, I think.
I think that's true. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I think it's a field that is really underpopulated, which is like, it should not, if you are a young progressive in America with time and money, maybe not even money, let's just say time. You have time on your hands and you want to make the country a better place. It is crazy how difficult it is to find orgs to work with you. It's crazy how difficult it is to find power brokers, you know? Can you find people who are politically connected who are like, yes, we would love your time and influence, please, you know? It's actually really, really tough. Now, you can find this with stuff like soup kitchens, right? Like charity orgs, they want you, but charity orgs are usually non-political. At least, you know, if they are political, they're very selectively political. And fuck, if you're a Republican, dude, Turning Point USA, they're literally getting tens of millions to go to college campuses and annoy people for viral videos. If you want to onboard over that, like, you can. You know?
Yeah, and then once you're in the college, you have the Heritage Foundation basically yanking you into a completely different pipeline to take you from there. It's fucking crazy.
They're really good at it.
Yeah. I consider this like, I joke internally that I have like a 70-year plan for PV that I'm like hoping we can build out, that this is like a long-term mission. And everybody is like, laughs at me and is like, aha, let's get through the next cycle, you know, democracy, we're all gonna die. And I'm like, look, maybe we die. If we do, we're dead. Who cares? If we're not dead though, I kind of am interested in building what comes next.
It's especially because, you know, you don't always get to feel the knock-on effects of these, the influence you have. You know, you get enough people in local office or enough people, you do enough campaigning, and you have no idea like how much of an effect you have down the line. Especially, I mean, again, you look at Mamdani, right? Because that's the victory we're all keen on right now. You can look at Mamdani, you can look at Trump. Like, Trump's victory back in 2016 was almost certainly built in large part on the work of a few very dedicated, previously unaffiliated campaigners and power brokers who either worked directly with Trump or referred young people to work on Trump's behalf. He won by a relatively narrow margin. I mean, he lost the popular vote, that time at least, and now history is irrevocably changed for the worse because of the influence of, I'm guessing, like a pretty small number of people. Nowadays, we see this even more with this administration, where people like RFK Jr., right? Like, RFK Jr. was, I can't say he's like a nobody. He's obviously not a nobody, but relatively speaking, a nobody. I mean, he was running in the Democratic primary for the presidency and he was getting like no support at all. He basically sold himself to the Trump administration. But if you think like, okay, now RFK Jr., he leads the DHHS. Who got him there? The answer? Honestly, probably like 2 or 3 smart staffers who worked with him from the beginning of his entry into the Democratic primary. And who got those staffers there? A couple of connections. It's just, all of this is sometimes so like terrifyingly dependent on very, very small, very dedicated moments of influence. I'm citing negative examples right now. I'm just saying like it works for them too, you know, with Mamdani.
Well, it'd be nice if we had a few positive ones for once.
Well,
I guess we have one now.
Mamdani, right? Actually, I got linked this earlier in the stream. Okay. Mamdani had video work done by a guy who now runs a YouTube channel. I don't remember his name, but I saw his channel just earlier today. That video work was really good. Mamdani would not have won the election if it wasn't for a couple of really good videos that popped off on TikTok. You know, like him keeping his hands in his pockets, the videographer running with him around the boroughs when he went from the top to the bottom of the city. You know, like
Lawflation
was. Can you give that to? Can you spell that?
HALALFLATION, halalflation.
Oh,
It was like this video that he made about how halal carts are not only
yes.
expensive to operate but expensive to buy food from. Yeah,
$10 to $8. So all of these, my understanding is they have a videographer. This videographer won Mamdani the election. I mean, a lot of things did, but without these key viral videos, I don't think it would have caught. And this is literally, as far as I can tell, just like a guy, like a chance meeting, one person who believed in another, and as a consequence of their working together, now we have, you know, the next New York City mayor, and they started working together long before Mamdani was even a long shot. Back before polling was even in, back when Mamdani would have polled at 0%, no name recognition, but it worked. I don't know. I'm hope-pilled. Mamdani has really reinvigorated my belief in the importance of getting in at the ground level, being aggressive, and believing earnestly, even against all odds, that you can win. Because the Democrats, listen, they have money, but they don't have gumption. Okay, they lack gumption, and we have gumption in spades.
Yeah, just not money.
Imagine what one really talented videographer can do, and then imagine a team of like-minded progressives who all have a fire burning in their heart, who love to make graphic content, right? Again, we have our AV team, our audio visual team. If you're good with video software, if you're good with making YouTube videos, maybe you've done it in the past, maybe you helped out with live streams, maybe you make graphics. Hey, imagine what a team of people like that could do here at Progressive Victory.
Can I just sell something? Can I just contrast? I can't show it to you guys because I'm showing it to the stream, but it'll only take a second, okay? Because I'm trying to make this point about like the importance of not only the importance of, but like the current lack of like young progressive influence in the Democratic Party. So for people in chat, the context to this is that Republican Representative Andy Ogles has said that Zohran Mamdani should be denaturalized because he's like super Muslim or something. He should be deported and he should have his citizenship stripped. Here is the minority leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries, responding to that claim. So leave aside the politics. I just want you to take a look at the production quality of this video.
Andy Ogles is running his mouth again. I just don't know what's wrong with this complete and total fraud.
To my friends in call, you can understand. You know how Hakeem Jeffries talks.
Life
Jesus Christ, that what is this?
You lied about being an economist. You lied about being in law enforcement. I don't know how you got elected to
that lighting is atrocious. This looks like a 3DS camera was used to film this.
Yeah, he does look even more like a fish than usual, which is impressive. I'm just saying, like, stuff like this does not exist because the Democratic Party is a well-oiled evil machine that keeps people like us out. Stuff like this exists because they're stupid and they have no idea what they're doing, and they get paid a lot of money to keep being stupid and not know what they're doing. This is a vulnerable dynamic. This is like this is like an environment that is free of predation. We are the natural predators, okay? We eat this shit up. Cuomo folds like a stack of cards to Mamdani's rhetoric. In the debate, Cuomo just sat there and took it. You know, this is weakness evident. We can take advantage of it. Okay, I've made the point. But no, I just, stuff like this, you got to remember, like, there is so much room within the Democrats. The Democrats are not being run by like extremely high, high skill operators who keep, gatekeep progressives. They could barely do it with Bernie. Bernie had much better messaging than Hillary Clinton. She barely cinched out that first nomination over him. I think this is a very, very, very vulnerable dynamic.
Yeah, they're shockingly stupid, like in a lot of cases, and not just like politically. I mean, interpersonally.
Yeah.
Like genuinely.
But not us.
I'm still kind of shocked by that pause frame on Hakeem Jeffries, by the way. That kind of like stun locked me a little bit.
No, it's genuinely very disarming. It'd be great if he was a like a mafioso, if he was like a mob goon and he would just stare at you with those eyes. I think he could get a lot done, but you know, unfortunately his job requires him to talk and make arguments, and I just don't think that fits his sort of, you know, his vibe.
Yeah, our party does fall apart once it gets to the talking phase. That tends to be the case.
Well, hey, listen, not my boy Mamdani, okay? That's why I've got my chips in with him.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
Oh, emotionally, I am all in. I'm like, I've taken all the chips in my heart, and I've ripped them from my rib cage, and I'm pushing the bloody mess across the table. I am all the fuck in. I need this to work, okay?
Yeah, if Mamdani loses in November, I think I might actually have to, like, I might just start, if anyone ever comes over my apartment, just empty beer bottles, vodka, just like, it's going to be a rough week.
I want to make a Mamdani hat, because he doesn't have any merch that's widely available, and I'm thinking,
he doesn't have merch?
No, he doesn't.
He couldn't sell it because he met the fundraising cap so quickly, which will probably happen again now for the general. So he just gave it out for free to people who volunteered for him. But I would love like a hat that's in his blue, his like light blue, you know, and then have the Zohran for NYC embroidered in the yellow and orange. I feel like if I could get that done custom or get it off, I don't know, like Etsy or something, that would be so fucking sick. Because we need to carry that energy everywhere. I hope he sells merch once he's mayor, like privately sells merch, you know, so he can sort of build a wealth base that he can use to fund future political exploits.
Yeah, we need our own like answer to the MAGA hat, where it's like the Zohran logo. I was looking into like the design philosophy of it the other day about how it was supposed to represent like a bodega kind of, or like early New York kind of sitcom.
No, I think it does. It gives this like 70s, yeah. Here
and like that sort of design philosophy. Just imagine if we had these like highly personalized, aesthetically beautiful kind of designs, and just ran with that with like all different politicians or people who are running within the party. Just like so much aura, so much swag.
Yeah, I always think of this, again, I'm showing it on stream, but I always think of this this one Bernie staffer who I think looks quite good. I think most people would agree. But like, if you want to win and like really win, not just win the election, but win the country in this age, you need to be able to manifest the kind of nonstop enthusiasm that Trump supporters have, you know? The difference
Shameless hype.
Yeah, like the difference being Trump supporters often won't wear their merch like into cities. They keep it rural because they don't want to get accosted. But a person who's wearing like Mamdani shit could walk around NYC 24/7, even Staten Island, and be fine, because it's good to be us and it's bad to be them, you know? You need like a permanent revolutionary attitude. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. We've been talking for longer than I normally talk to PV, because I worry about the attention span of people who watch. Like, I don't want to bury the lead and it's like 10 minutes of politics talk, and then 35 minutes in it's like, oh yeah, here's the membership cards, you know? But by then the dipshits who watch my content, sorry, love you guys, but like I can see the viewer retention rate on YouTube videos, okay? You can't lie to me, the numbers don't lie. Have already drifted off to watching girlfriend ASMR videos or something. That being said, I've enjoyed the talk, so I guess it balances out, you know.
Yeah, no, it was a wonderful time. As always, everybody here at PV loves whenever we get a chance to come on Vosh. It's always just like a super fun time.
Yeah, I've had a great time.
Yeah, likewise, and as before, of course, I'll put all the relevant links in the description. By I mean, of course, my editors. I really appreciate you both coming on. Thank you so much for the work that you and all the volunteers through PV did on behalf of Mamdani. I have heard many positive experiences from people who volunteered to phone bank through PV, and also people who did it through Mamdani directly. Obviously, it's different, but I've known people who like did both, or like as times were available, or they wanted to experience both. And the impression that I got, like, altogether was just that Mamdani's campaign was unique in its ability to energize and motivate people, and I really, really hope we can keep that going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, some of the best phone bank lists, according to Gunga at least, that
I've ever seen.
So
I have hosted many phone banks. I've seen many phone bank lists. Let me tell you, getting all of that stuff set up is awful. Holy shit, I have never seen better lists in my entire life.
Was it Zohran that provided them? Well, not himself, but
yes.
Was it their campaign?
Yeah, it was their team. They provided us their phone banking link, and just like very few Republicans in the call list. I mean, it's New York City, but like, and even then,
like
most
a 60% hit rate, it looked like.
Yeah, really?
Yes,
crazy.
Holy shit. Oh, hey, that's another huge sell on the importance of getting people in at like local Democratic Party levels, because if you ever reach a point in the local bureaucracy that you get a good mailing list or phone banking list, instantly you now have the ability to like massively buff any progressive campaign running in that district.
Yeah. So yeah, join Operation DNC. We genuinely, it's a numbers game, and that's the only way to win.
Yeah,
it's like how zombies and hordes kill all the survivors in Project Zomboid for the gamers in chat.
Well, maybe let's not associate our efforts with the fucking zombie attack, but yeah, you get the point.
No, well, Project Zomboid is a very popular game. You know, I feel like you can win people back with the references.
Yeah, true.
Has it been on the mind lately?
Like, I watched 28 years later, so I've been in a zombie kick recently.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I've never actually played Project Zomboid because I tend not to play games that have a definite ending. The zombies are the good guys in Project Zomboid, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, then it's apropos, Ben. Thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Right,
Thank you for having us on, Bosch. We'll see ya.
Y'all take care.
Have a good night. See ya.